Hello and welcome back to another on Football Zone and to a weekend preview, previewing this weekend's Premier League and Championship action. And let's get straight into it with the Premier League. And kicking off with Leicester versus Manchester City. This is definitely a very intriguing game. Leicester, of course, are back on form now, you could say, after that really poor start. But City, of course, they're flying along, as you'd expect. Got that win over Brighton after the loss to Liverpool. And you'd say City are strong favourites here. I think they will win, but Leicester might just give them a game. Moving on then to Bournemouth versus Tottenham at the Vitality, Bournemouth coming into this one off the back of a few defeats after such a good start in charge with Gary O'Neill, which will be disappointing. But Tottenham, though, obviously will feel aggrieved by that game against Sporting in midweek, but they're not the best around the form as well, so they need a win here to get back on track as well. So both teams will see this as an opportunity, but I think Spurs just got that bit more quality, don't they? 2-0 to them. Moving on then to Brentford as they take on Wolves at the Brentford Community Stadium. Brentford, they're just a bit inconsistent. 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses in the last 5. So they're looking to just find a bit of consistency, really. But Wolves, it's not looking good for them, is it? Just 4 losses out of 5. Davis in charge until New Year, which I have to say I am very unsure about. So I think Brentford will definitely be fancying a chance to win this one, and I'm going to say it'll be a 1-0 home victory to the Bees. Moving on then to Brighton versus Chelsea at the Amex, and Graham Potter returning to his former side. And for Brighton, ever since he did leave, it's not gone too well for them, has it? What's that like? 5 games in charge now and not a win. So I think it will be a bit worrying for them. Chelsea going quite well, aren't they? Just need to cut out some of the draws they've had recently. This will be a tough place to go, but I think on paper they probably will have a bit too much for Brighton here. I'm going to say 2-1 to Chelsea. Moving on then to Crystal Palace, they take on Southampton at Selhurst Park, this is another interesting one because Crystal Palace, you thought they were really on that upwards curve, but then they got let's just face it, hammered by Everton, didn't they? So they'll be looking to recover from that because that was a really, really poor result, you'd have to say. Against the Southampton side, became the second team this season to take point off Arsenal. What a great result that was for them, and they'll be looking to build some momentum off the back of that. And they have done two wins and 2-1 draw and 2 wins before that. But I'm going to say 2-0 Palace. I don't know. I just feel home advantage will be key. Moving on then to Newcastle as they take on Aston Villa at St James's Park. And Newcastle, they're absolutely flying at the moment. 4 wins and 1 draw in the last 3. Villa obviously got that much needed win after Gerrard's departure against Brentford, will they be able to continue against the team in Newcastle's form? Personally, I have quite strong doubts about that, to be honest, so I'm going to say it will be 2-1 to the Toon in this one. Moving on then to Fulham as they take on Everton at Craven Cottage, and Fulham 2 wins on the trot, unbeaten in 3 after they went on a bit of a shoddy run after the international break, so that's good for them, getting some confidence back. But Everton, off the back of that 3-0 win against Palace, it was much needed as well after 3 losses. Both teams will be coming into this one with pretty high confidence, you'd have to say, but I think just Fulham are just absolutely flying at the moment. You don't really know what you're going to get with Everton, so I'm going to say it'll be 1-0 to the Fulham. Moving on then to Liverpool v Leeds, the late game on Saturday, 2 late games on Saturday, Liverpool 4 wins in the last 5, but it was just that Forest loss. Just when you thought they were really getting back on track, that sort of result happens, and you just despair almost, don't you? But surely they have to win this one. Just look at Leeds, 4 losses on the trot, unbeaten without a win since August, so they have to win this, and I think they will do. 2-0 at Liverpool, and pressure grows on Jesse Marsh. Moving on then to Sunday's games in the Premier League, and Arsenal taking on Nottingham Forest at 2 o'clock UK time, and Arsenal turning into this one obviously off the back of that draw against Southampton, which will be disappointing because it's a game they should have won, really. But they've had enough success so far this season to be allowed a few stiff-offs, I think. But Forest, can they carry the momentum from the Liverpool game? It'd be incredible if they beat Liverpool and Arsenal in consecutive games. I just don't think that'll happen. I'm going to say 2-0 to the Arse. Moving on then to Manchester United as they take on West Ham in the Premier League. And United, they've been unbeaten for a long time since that City game. But just a few draws creeping in recently against Newcastle and Chelsea. Chelsea obviously probably the best draw, but still, they'll they'll be looking to avoid a repeat of that. West Ham, though, one defeat in the last 5, and that was away to Liverpool, so definitely improving for them, aren't they? But yeah, I just kind of fancy Manchester United to have slightly too much on here. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on into this week's Championship action, starting off with Birmingham versus QPR at St Andrews, and this is a game that I'm really interested by, because Birmingham, although they've only got 1 point from the last 2, they were against 2 high-performing sides, and before that have looked really, really solid. And even in those games, they haven't played badly. Against QPR side, that's obviously absolutely flying at the moment. Probably have an infinite enough for Michael Beale at the moment after the way he turned down Wolves. So yeah, I mean, like, it's a hard one to call. With Birmingham at home, I don't know, I'm going to say they're holding them to a draw. I'll say 1-1. Moving on then to Bristol City as they take on Swansea at Ashton Gate, I can get it out eventually. And yeah, Bristol City, they're just inconsistent at the moment. 2 wins, 3 losses in the last 5 against the Swansea side, who've won 4 out of 5. And yeah, definitely looking better at the moment. So yeah, I mean, like, I think Swansea will be confident into the game into this one, sat in 4th in the table. But Bristol City, yeah, just inconsistent they are. You'd be stupid to count them out. I'm going to say it'll be a draw, to be honest. I can see Bristol City getting something out of that. Moving on into West Brom against Sheffield United, and this is a big game for both of these sides. Both of them just massively struggling at the moment. Fortunately for Sheffield United, they got off to a much better start than West Brom did, meaning they're sitting in a playoff position, and West Brom sat in 23rd. But yeah, still, it's just not looking great for either side. Carlos Corberán now in charge at West Brom, which I think is a really, really good appointment. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. No guarantees it will succeed, I suppose. But yeah, I think that will give them a boost. But I don't know, I just fancy Blaisdell. I think they've just still got a bit too much. Moving on then to Burnley as they take on Reading at Turf Moor. And yeah, game between the two sides have had a very decent season so far. Burnley currently sat at top of the table, although they do have a game in hand on most teams in the division, thanks to their win against Norwich on Tuesday. Against the Reading side, who, yeah, hopefully will going back into form after that, with that win last time out against Bristol City. But yeah, Burnley flying at the moment at home. When you look at their some Reading results on paper, you definitely say this should be a Burnley victory, I think. So I'm going to say 2-0 Burnley. Moving on then to Coventry as they take on Blackpool at the Coventry Brothers Society Arena. And yeah, Coventry flying at the moment. Obviously, I think they will be disappointed they didn't get that win against Rotherham last time out. But yeah, still on a great run. Blackpool, big win against Preston. That can give the club a big move. Only lost 1 and 5. But yeah, only won 2 of the last 5. So yeah, it's kind of just a bit inconsistent for Blackpool as well at the moment. But I think Coventry, the way they're performing at home at the moment, I think they'll be quietly confident in the victory. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on then to Huddersfield as they take on Millwall at the John Smith Stadium. And yeah, Huddersfield, I mean, like, they're coming into this one, the form since Fulham's come in, I don't know, it just hasn't really improved, has it? They got a win against Hull, etc, but except for that, it just hasn't been too great. Against the Millwall side, 4 wins on the trot, flying at the moment, and yeah, you'd be stupid to say that Millwall aren't strong favourites coming here, and I do think they will pick up the victory. Moving on then to Hull as they take on Blackburn at the KCOM. And yeah, Hull coming into this one off the back of 2 wins on the trot, things might finally start to be clicking now, as Blackburn will come into this one 4 wins on 5, sitting top of the table, sitting third in the table, sitting very pretty. So yeah, they'll come into this one full of confidence, finally got over their inconsistent run, you'd say. And yeah, I definitely think they're favourites for this one. I'm going to say it'll be 2-1 to Rovers. Moving on then to Luton as they take on Sunderland at Kenilworth Road. And yeah, Luton, I think, will come into this one obviously looking for revenge after that 4-0 defeat to Watford, which was a really, really poor result. Before that, they're going along nicely. But Sunderland as well, after bossing a 2-0 lead to Burnley. So yeah, both teams have something big to play for here, and kind of get back on track after disappointing last games. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But Luton at home, I don't know, I just think they've got a bit too much for Sunderland at the moment. I'm going to say it'll be 2-0 to the Atters. Moving on then to Norwich as they take on Stoke at Carrow Road. And yeah, Norwich, it's just been dreadful recently, hasn't it? Unbeaten, winless, since the beginning of October. And yeah, they've lost 4 of the last 6. So yeah, really, really poor against the Stoke side, who had lost their last 2 themselves as well. So it's a good chance for Norwich to get back into form. Before that, we're showing signs of life. But yeah, at home, I think Norwich will have a bit too much for Stoke. I'm going to say 2-0. Moving on then to Preston as they take on Middlesbrough at Deepdale. And yeah, Preston, they're coming into this one, with some inconsistent form, I think it's fair to say. Couple of wins, couple of losses in the last few games. So yeah, it just makes it hard to say what sort of Preston we're going to get against the Middlesbrough side that's still just really struggling, aren't they? Had a brief little revival in the last few games, but how long that will last, I don't know. I just fancy Preston at home for this one. I'm going to say 1-0. Moving on into Wigan as they take on Watford at the DW Stadium, and yeah, Wigan, they'll come into this one off the back of 3 defeats in the league, and yeah, they are slipping down the table, currently sitting 19th after a promising start for Liam Richardson. So yeah, Watford, I think, will be fancying their chances. Hopefully that 4-0 win against Luton really will be the catalyst for a successful reign for Slaven Bilic in charge, but who knows how it will go. But yeah, in this game in particular, I think it will be a 2-0 Watford win. Moving on then to Cardiff as they take on Rotherham at Cardiff City Stadium, and Cardiff lost the last 3. Yes, honeymoon period over for Mark Hudson, I think it's fair to say, with that 2-0 defeat to Swansea, but against the Rotherham side who, kind of are struggling themselves, only 1 point from the last 2. So yeah, I think both teams will fancy their chances here of getting a result. And that creates definitely an interesting game. But yeah, I think at home Cardiff may just have a bit too much for Rotherham. I'm going to say it'll be 2-0 to Cardiff. But anyway guys, that's it for you. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave thoughts, comments down below, and follow this show for daily football news and squad from channel. Greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.